you suddenly show up here and throw some money around and think you can get my respect.
Oh yeah? Warm sunshine all on my head. Life is a blessing. Even if I stress and I'm left for dead. No, it's no weapon that's gonna pierce my frame, spilling my red. My frown is missing, smiling through the pain wherever I miss. Grace is sufficient, I will not complain. No, somewhere in this rain is wisdom. The lessons I've been getting cost me something like tuition. Pay attention to the vision, it could save your life. Listen, Elohim sent that rain through Christ. I pray you see him glisten. And that rainbow is a promise, not a sex symbol. That's different. No, that came out of nowhere. Nowhere is somewhere. If we're specific, I grew up somewhere between young genius and black statistic. I know the word of God.
So I want to introduce my son, Chasten Michael Ruiz. Here's the 7-year-old baby. Him and this project started at the same time. They were both born in my life and new to my life at the same time. Gives you an idea of just the time length, that how hard I've been working to get where I'm at now, and just the time that it has taken. Just actually by looking at him, I can see it. He's been with me every step of the way. This is actually my business partner. What are your thoughts, Puppy? How do you feel about the building?
Good.
Yeah? What do you think about it?
It's a lot of fun for block parties, and it's a good thing to do for kids, and make sure who kids have never experienced stuff to learn brand new things that they've never done.
Okay. When we fix it up, how do you feel about us fixing it up?
I am gonna be very happy and see how it looks inside, and I might do a little work in here and help y'all out.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you feel about helping the community and what Mommy's doing?
Good, so we can show some people that if they've never seen stuff, they can see new stuff. Like if we can see someone toss, someone blowing bubbles, and see all different kind of stuff.
Okay, so just new interactive
experiences.
Oh, okay, that's good. I'm so happy that you've been a part of this. Are you happy that you're a part of this?
Yep.
What about the history of the building? How do you feel about that?
Actually good, so I can learn about more history in school, and some other kids can learn about it, and some grown-ups too.
Okay. Well, I'm so happy you're part of this, okay?
Okay.
Are you proud of me?
Yep.
Are you proud of us?
All of y'all.
So I purchased the Lewis White grocery store about 8 years ago. I was about 30 years old, and I was at a point in my life where I wanted to see my money making money for me. I wanted to invest, but I really didn't know exactly what to invest in. I actually started on the other side of the freeway, the other side of I-10, and I was told that it was just too expensive over there and that I should come to this side of the freeway. So I was over here about every day, just driving around the area, driving around the neighborhood and looking for places. There was a company that was just purchasing up all kind of properties. They were buying up all the properties in the area. There was big for sale signs in yellow just across almost every other property. That's when I came across the Lewis White grocery store. I seen this big old yellow sign on it, and it was like 0 down, and of course they gave you terrible interest rates. So in my mind, I was like, I had bought my house when I was 23. I could sell that house now. Whatever equity I had on there, I could use it to pay the majority of the building off, and that would, help me with the interest rate and just pay the rest off. That was my goal. It was set in stone. That's what I wanted to do. At the time, also, mind you, this grocery store, or the historical story behind this grocery store, was not attached to the store. It was just a vacant building. Maybe a few months into actually purchasing the building, I actually found out I was pregnant. It was an unexpected pregnancy. I was a whole different area of my life. Like my whole life was just kind of uprooted. And then it left me in this real crazy mind space where I didn't know if I can be a mother, a solo mother, and be a businesswoman. I didn't even know if those two things were possible for me in my situation. It was a big struggle, to be honest. It took a while after a lot of prayer and God reminded me exactly who He made me to be. I realized I was able to do both. With that being said, I ended up selling my house, put the majority of the money, well, not majority, I put all of the money back into this building, moved back into this neighborhood, with my mom so she can help me with my child, learn how to be a parent. I kind of just kept my head down and made the payments, was figuring out how to be a mom. By the time I knew it, I paid the building off. And I was like, okay, it's time to move. At this time, my son's about 3 years old, and I need to make a move. I started getting contractors to come check out the building, you know, just to tell me what their ideas were, how can we renovate it, fix it up. All of them told me that this building was, it would be more cost efficient to destroy it, demolish the building, as opposed to renovate it. Maybe a few months after that, the city of Houston approached me with a historical story. They told me this building was built in the 1920s, and an event happened in this building that will give it the ability to get designated as a historical landmark with the city of Houston. I didn't really understand what all that meant. I asked them about the story. You're gonna hear, I don't really want to tell you the story because I really want you to hear it from Ms. Eleanor White's son. I want it for you to hear it from the family. They could tell the story, which you'll get that in this film. Once they told me what had happened and how his mother was arrested in the store, all I could think about is I resonate so well with this woman. I mean, I'm a double minority. I'm Hispanic. I'm a female. I'm from this area. I'm from the community. I care about this community. I have an entrepreneur spirit. I feel like our hearts mirrored each other. And to be honest, I felt like it was just the right thing to do. The story that they told me, I was like, this is like the Rosa Parks of Fifth Ward. How can I let this be buried? It didn't make no sense. It was, the right thing to do was to sign it. You know, the city of Houston told me that they needed my signature in order to designate this building, and I decided to do it. It took about a year for the designation to go through. We have the placard now. Thank you, Jesus. We got the placard. It took a year. Literally after that, the pandemic hits. The world shuts down, and for 2 years, it's silence. Any ideas that I had with the building, it's gone. I'm just trying to make sure that my son's not sick, I'm not sick, and I'm able to go to work, right? 2 years, and that's all it is. Pandemic goes away, and it's time to start, you know, doing something with this building. And mind you, when I first bought the building, the goal was financial freedom. You know, I was a single parent. I didn't want to be struggling anymore. I wanted to have financial freedom. That was the sole goal of the project. As I realized what I wanted to do during the pandemic, I realized what I wanted to do with the building, and it was, I don't want to compete with other grocery stores or with CVS's or anything like that. I decided to make it into an event hall. It was already gutted up. Fifth Ward, Dimble Harbor, to be honest, any business you can put in this area, we need. There's a demand for everything. So I decided to do an event hall that made sense with my life. You know, I can make money during the weekends. For the most part, it will run itself, and it still allowed me to be this very strong solo parent to my son. After realizing that's what I was going to do with it, I started thinking like, well, from Monday through Thursday, it's going to be empty. It's going to be completely bare. No one's having parties. I would not be making any money. I actually heard this saying. It was like, wealth of any kind is to extend your table and not heighten your fence. With that being said, I was like, how can we give Monday through Thursday of this building back to the community? How can we uplift and impact this area? And I don't even, to be honest, that's where the idea was. I did not want to start a nonprofit. As I told more and more people about my idea, they were like, you have to start a nonprofit. You already have your LLC. You have to start a nonprofit. So now here I am on this journey, and it has been a journey. What kind of nonprofits can I collaborate with to bring into this building? Is there free art therapy for kids? Is there, I don't know, lessons on nonviolent communication, emotional intelligence? What was I lacking growing up in this area that these people are still lacking? What can we give? How can we build better relationships with people? How can we invite them? How can we tell them about this history? People are walking up and down these streets and they know nothing of the history of this building. They just see a old beat up building and ignore it and don't know how rich and how embedded the history of Fifth Ward is. So this year we were able to work with historian Miss Deborah. She actually found Charles White, which is Honora White's last living son. He's 89 years old, he lives in Ohio, and he was actually present when Honora was arrested in this store. A few months ago, he came down to Houston and he gave us an interview and kind of took us, I mean, it was like a trip back in history. He just told us how everything was, how everything looked in here, the placement of the building, what the store was, how the people were. He told us about the arrest. He gave us details to the arrest. It was eye-opening. It was eye-opening to see what this community was, how it completely, deteriorated, and to what it's now becoming. And I guess it's like breathing life back into this, this building, this community, not just this building. But oh my God, it was so, it was huge. I don't even know what word to use. It was huge. I was able to see him, to speak to him. I always knew what I was doing was the right thing, but having him tell me that he was thankful for what I was doing, that his parents would be honored to know that this is what I decided to do with their building, his blessing was just the icing on the cake to everything I already had in my heart. It was that extra confirmation that God gave me that this is the correct path. Continue to walk it no matter how hard it gets. That's what we're doing. I'm so delighted, so thankful that he was able to come and give us that. That was his response. So I feel like this is a solid project. Let's go back to where this entire legacy started. Let's go back to the White family, and let's journey with Charles White as he tells us what this building meant to him and his family, and where this whole legacy started from. Let's hear it from their mouths.
Good to meet you,
Good to meet you.
Oh, finally.
Good to finally meet you.
Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. Very good to meet you.
That's
I'm
right.
Chuck
How are
White.
you, Deborah Black Lives Alone?
Nice to
How's it
meet you,
feeling-
Deborah. Nice.
How was it feeling to be back in Houston?
Are you Ashley?
Yeah.
Nice meeting you, Michael White.
Yeah.
So
So, you want to come inside for a minute, then we're
Sure.
going to the house.
this is the house he was born in. And that house right there was attached to this store right here. When my grandfather, my father's father, started the business back in the 1920s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Teens or whatever.
And
it was.
upstairs, he had an apartment that he lived in. My mother would walk by here, going to Wheatley High School, by the way, was down here, where E.O. Smith is.
Mhm.
And so she would walk past the store. My mother was a very pretty lady, and she would walk past the store, and my father would stand there and say, "Hi, pretty lady, let me talk to you," and she would ignore him completely, just ignore him. And so finally, they started seeing each other, and he said to her, "I want to marry you." She says, "Do you think I'm going to marry somebody who's living above a store?" So she says, "You build me a house and I'll marry you." So he built the house. And that's where I was born.
So how old is that house?
Yes. So it was a little bit older than that.
The store and the house have to be 100 to 125 years old.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
my grandfather was not quite a bit older than my grandmother, but I think they're about 10 or 15 years apart, something like that. So when she was going to Wheatley High School, that's when he said that they used to see each other on the streets as they're walking by and such like that.
I know.
So she was walk by
He
and
would stand here at the front door. And E.O. Smith, which it's still there, is it?
No, they made it, they tore the building down. We protested about them, HIC tearing the building down, and so they made it, it's a prep school for young men, named for Mickey Leland. Oh, you knew Mickey Leland?
Yeah. E.O. Smith then was Wheatley High School then. Then we had John Caldwell had them build a new school, because again, back in those days, it was separate but equal. and so they wanted to make sure they had a school that for black kids that was a nice school, but it was still separated from the white kids. So they created the Phyllis Wheatley High School over here. I've forgotten the name of this. Market Street. And it was based on the philosophy of Frank Lloyd Wright. And we happened to live, my wife and I, for 60 years, I just lost her, live in a Frank Lloyd Wright house. He was born in that.
In Ohio.
In Ohio.
I attended Phyllis Wheatley, graduated from Phyllis Wheatley in 74.
Did you?
My mom went there.
Graduated in 52.
You want
Want to come inside?
Yeah, you want.
Yeah.
Sure.
Actually, why don't you, Dad? Why don't you tell him whose first office out of law school was above the store?
Barbara Jordan. Her first office out
In this building?
right here in this building. That was Barbara Jordan's first office.
You remember what year that was? It had to be in the 60s.
It had to be in
Because
the
she finished in 55, 54, something like that.
She finished with me in 1952. Yeah.
They were classmates.
Barbara and I went to elementary school together at Atherton. Is Atherton still there?
It still is.
And Otis King, who used to be...
Otis King, the civil rights activist.
These were our three buddies. We were the three. And they used to call us the Musketeers. And ironically enough, Houston, back in those days, and the schools were situated so you seated kids by their, I hate to say it, intelligence, but we were seated in the left row. Barbara, Otis, Sam Biggers, who became a neurosurgeon.
Was he related to John Biggers, the TSU professor? Do you know?
I don't think he could have been.
Okay.
He could have been. I don't remember that.
The Biggers was from North Carolina, so maybe not.
Okay. Yeah, we were seated in the left side. The dumber kids were on the right.
Oh, that. Okay. Oh, that's what you meant.
When I was growing up, it was so different than now. These are our buildings right here.
They were? Okay. You own those?
Yeah.
Okay.
And not those particular buildings.
Right.
We had apartments there.
Okay.
3 apartment buildings back there in that area. And we had, right across the street here was, on Benson Street, we owned an apartment building and then 4 shotgun buildings behind it.
I've got a map of those buildings.
Yeah.
I can show you a map of those. But let's go inside where it's a little bit cooler.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, since the house was abutted to the store, how did you access to get in here, though? You know, the house was that close, so you just walked out?
Came to the store.
Came to the front
But
door?
we also had a back door.
Okay,
And
got
a
it.
back door.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about the layout of the store.
The layout was a cash register and the checkout counter was right here. Over here was the butcher section, and this was where we had a long refrigerator.
All the way back here.
All the way back here. And my older brother, worked with my father's butcher, whose name was Coop. And
What was the last name?
Coop, C-O-O-P.
Okay.
And he taught him how to be a butcher. My father already was, and he learned. And so we had a choice of what we were going to do, and I chose my mother's cash register.
The easy
So
job.
I was the checkout person in there, and Mom and I would check out.
How old were you when you were doing that job? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Teenager.
I was just a kid, yeah, just a preteen actually, when I learned how to do it. Everything prime, really excellent. and top fruit over here in the produce. And we would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the farmer's market to bring back vegetables, produce for here. Yeah.
Is this the farmer's market on Airline? That farmer's market, or was it located somewhere else?
No, it was on Airline.
Airline,
Yeah.
okay. Still there.
That's the one downtown, right?
Well, it's not downtown.
Is it out by the bayou?
Yeah, close.
Yeah.
Close. It's still there. They've changed the layout, but it's still there. It's closed in now. Closed in.
And we'd also go to Sidney Myers, which was the grocery store.
Where were they located?
I can't remember.
You can probably look those up in the
I
city.
can look it up. Yeah, Sidney Myers is the name of it. And I remember my father getting into a little altercation with some guy who knocked me aside because he didn't think that as a kid I should be in line and to wait to talk to Sidney Myers. And he pushed him aside and I fell over the ramp. My father, back in those days, we were very, very segregated and not considered human beings practically. But my father looked at this guy, he saw him knock me over. He just went over and cold cocked the guy.
Oh, your father hit her?
Oh, hit him. Not only hit him, knocked him out practically. He says, "Don't you ever touch my son again." Well, they called the police. And so the police came and they were wanting to arrest my father. Sidney Myers, the owner of the grocery store, says, no. That guy was insulting Lewis's children. He says, I would have done the same thing that Lewis did. So he supported my father. I'm trying to think of this is bringing back so many childhood memories. It's unbelievable.
Do you have any famous people come in the store?
Barbara Jordan, Otis King. Otis used to live right across the street, by the way.
Okay.
Didn't you guys had Lena Horne here at one time?
Lena Horne.
Lena Horne came here?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I remember hearing stories of when Dr. King was here. He didn't stay here, but he stayed across the street, didn't he, Dad?
Yeah, that's what my understanding, because I didn't get it.
Because you were up in Ohio at the time.
Exactly.
So when he came through, and my grandparents, they owned that movie theater over there, which is now
The Lions Theater.
Oh, the last, oh yeah, I
But
own
they
that.
didn't own that. Okay, they were just.
Did they own the drugstore that was
They
across
owned
the
the drugstore. We're right across the street here. Was Ross's drugstore. Mm-hmm. Well, when my parents owned that. Mm-hmm. Plus, it was drugstore, and then we had another building on top of it, which was kind of a ballroom almost.
Okay.
And then behind the drugstore, if you go down Vincent Street, the first one you would come to was Drennan's Barbershop.
I saw that in the city directory.
Yeah, and then the next one you would come to was a beauty shop. So and also across the street here, the drugstore was here. Right over here we had there was a cafe.
A quick mic check real quick.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Testing 1, 2, 3. I'm an old television. So back to the store. What did I miss?
So how did your mother get arrested? What happened?
Oh, we had a salesman who was restocking some product over here, mayonnaise. And so Mom looked over and says, she says, I don't think I'm gonna, and we still had this, the shelves are still full of this particular product. And Mom said, I don't want to put any more in there now because it's not moving very well. And so he continued to put it in there. And she says, did you hear me? I said, I don't want to put any more in there. And so he continued to do it, and she says, I said stop it. And he says, you can't talk to a white man like that. And so I was behind the counter then because Bubba was outside at a watchageria that he had opened. and I grabbed a meat cleaver, and I used some vituperative language to him, and said, "Did you hear what my mother said? She said, don't put any more in there." So he stormed out of here and called us all kind of goddamn diggers. And then he had us sent a cop here to arrest my mother. And I said, "Don't arrest her. I'm the one who threatened the guy." But because I was underage, I was a kid, he said, "No, we're going to arrest her. She's the adult." So they took her down to the jail. And then they had this, you know, when you're immediately arrested, you go into this arraignment court. And the judge listened to what was going on, and he said, "Oh, this is absurd. This woman shouldn't have been arrested." Took the papers, tore them up, threw them in the air. And then I called Burnett Ross across the street. The Rosses were very good friends of ours, as well as tenants, and called him and said, "My mother has been arrested." He says, "What?" So he went down there. So he brought her home. And Mrs. Courtney, you went to school here, didn't you? In 5th Ward or down?
Yes, I grew up in Frenchtown.
Oh, okay. All right. Anybody want to say it?
A little bit.
Because my mother was Creole.
Okay.
Pretty little girl. That's what my father called her. I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about.
You said Miss Courtney? Were you going to say Miss Courtney?
I'm trying to think of her. It wasn't Courtney or Porter. Courtney, I think. She and Mom got together along with several of the other women here, and they formed it wasn't called civil rights at that time. It was kind of a justice for the neighborhood. Kind of forgotten what they called it. And
so it was an informal group?
Yeah, it was an informal group primarily. And but they wanted to make sure that, one, this neighborhood was treated right. Two, they wanted to make sure that any arrests that came here were legitimate arrests.
Did you meet Mickey Lingley? Did you meet him?
He was with Lawrence's class. Yeah, I met him years ago, but I don't. He was more my brother's age.
Okay.
My younger brother. And I'm 9 years older than my younger brother.
What do you remember about community events here? What kind of celebrations took place?
Well, the Hester House, of course, was the hub of all of our gathering, and I'd go down there. I'll never forget Pat Shepard. Hard to gossip. Pat Shepard was Mrs. Brooks, who was our biology teacher. She was supposed to be her sister. Well, the rumor had it was that she was her daughter. So everybody in the neighborhood knew that. And that was the gossip then. But you're talking famous people. Barbara. I just can't think of anyone else. And there were other famous people who came from this neighborhood. Oh, Illinois Jacquette he used to come over here.
Really?
Well, Don Roby was his manager. B.B. King, he was his manager. And my brothers and I would go over and talk Evelyn, who was Don's secretary, into introducing us to some of these famous people, and she would always sneak us in. I'm trying to think. Some very famous musicians came through here, and we got a chance to meet them.
What about politicians? Did you ever come in contact with any politicians, black politicians?
Otis King.
Okay.
Can't think of any right now.
So let's go back to the grocery store. Was the grocery store open 7 days a week, and what were the hours?
The grocery store was open 6 days a week. On Sundays, we would close, and my mother would make some potato salad, and she either would fry chicken, or we'd take ribs to barbecue and go to Galveston and spend the day in Galveston every Sunday. And because the heat was so oppressive back at that time, we would go there to get the ocean breeze, the Gulf breeze, I should say, just to get away from the heat. The property that we owned around here, if the renters not decided, but couldn't afford to pay the rent, my mother would say, honey, don't worry about it, I'll catch you the next time. And that was the way she was with everybody. But they would also come to her, Mrs. White, I've got this pain here. And she said, why have you done this? And, no. She used to use nursing techniques, but most importantly, she used good old-fashioned mother wit. And of course, they attributed that to nursing. But people who had no money would come and say, I'm really broke, Mrs. White. And she said, oh, how much do you need to get by? And I'd tell her, she'd go into the cash register and take it out, and she'd say, you pay me back when you get it. My father was the same way. There was a guy named John Henry who used to walk by here, and he was in rags and looked pretty healthy, but had torn clothes. And so he came here asking my father for a handout. My father said, did you ever have a job? And he said, yeah, I did. He says he worked at it was a big coffee company here. I'm trying to think of the name of it.
Not Maxwell House. In the East End?
Yeah, I think it was maybe Maxwell House, but he had a job there, and he was laid off. Had no money. And John Henry was, you could smell it a block away. Dad says, would you like to work? Do you want to work? John Henry said, oh my God, I'd love to. Just, I don't like to live like this. My father says we sold galvanized tubs. Went and got one of those galvanized tubs filled with water, gave him some soap, and he says, now, bathe yourself. And so we were selling dry goods as well. We went in and got him some clothes from the dry goods counter. So he put these on. And so he says, you want to work, right? And he says, yes. He says, okay, you're going to work helping me around the store. So John Henry was forever indebted to Dad. But Dad was like that with and Mom, with everyone who was down on their luck. And anyone who had any kind of issues or problems, they would come to them, and Dad would go to court for them even to help them. But they were very giving people, and they taught us to do that. And they said, always give back to your community, and you see this person who's on the street now, there but for the grace of God go you. If you didn't have it, you would be right there. So we've always been my sons and I have always taught them, give back to the community. So we do. Yeah.
And to have your blessing and to know that your mother,
she would have been both my mother, but my mom would really have been just so touched that you're doing something for the community, one, and two, you're using the building for that purpose. Yeah.
Ashley, what kind of designations do you have for the building? What kind of historical designations?
So I have, it's a protected landmark right now with the City of Houston. I have the placard. We're also, right now we're in the process of waiting, but we are eligible to be nominated as on the state register list.
Oh, wonderful.
That's what we're waiting on, hopefully by the end of this year and this interview. So we want to be recognized on a state level, and your mom's name, I resonate well with that woman who I've never met.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I feel like the first time I'm meeting her is through your stories.
Oh, bless your heart. Well, you're hearing it from the horse's mouth, because I'm the one who raised the cleaver. Didn't hurt anyone, but I certainly threatened the guy, and I don't know what the guy. Oh, the saving grace of this whole thing was that, in spite of the fact that my mother was completely released by the judge, the guy was fired. And that was our vindication. Vindication.
And you telling the story about Barbara Jordan having her first office here, we didn't know that information. That wasn't even attached to the designation. We got to go back and add this information. There wasn't even, there's so much history. I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm so thankful that you agreed to come, and you got all the stories. I'm listening to you. You got the jokes, the stories.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Keep us in your prayers. Keep thinking about what we're doing. If you're interested in what we're doing, come be part of it. If you feel like our hearts are mirroring each other, come be part of this. I welcome you with open arms. You can actually visit us at www.urbanhealinghtx.org. It was nice talking to you.